Ready?
Ready as can be.
Okay, great. Well, I'm here with the lovely Lee In. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you here and talk about not just essential oils and yoga, but we're gonna get deep into some other stuff, which I'm really excited about. So, Leanne, for those who don't know you, Leanne Anderson, you are a yoga teacher and an aroma yoga instructor, and your work focuses a lot on creating sacred spaces for soul level connections and empowering women to find their voice, which I love. You're
Mm.
a very successful leader in the oils and the yoga space. And I read something the other day about you I wanted to read. I just loved it. It said, her yoga classes use essential oils as a means of tapping into our sensorial realm to liberate our energy flow through our chakras. Essential oils support this process of awakening our senses as a path of presence, which I've talked to you a little bit about before. And I just love that. So let's just start with that last sentence, essential oils as a means of tapping into our sensorial realm to liberate our energy flow through chakras. Explain that for us.
Okay, so there's a lot in that sentence, and I want to start with a quote from Anodea Judith, who is an authority on chakras. And she says, the senses are the first gateway between the outer and inner world. To open our senses is to become sensible instead of senseless. Through the senses, we first get in touch. To be in touch is to know what we feel and to be awake and aware. To be in touch is to be connected. So I take that very much to heart when I teach my yoga classes. And just to let you understand a little bit, I've been practicing yoga for 18 years and was first introduced to it when my parents brought me to this ancient holy cave in Malaysia when I was about 10 years old.
Wow.
Um, but with the utmost humility, the feedback from the Scentsible yoga classes that I've been teaching this last 3 years have been very encouraging. I've heard numerous times that it has been unlike any yoga class they had ever been to. Many of them say they left in a most blissful state. Some say they had the best night's rest that they can remember. They feel recharged, they're grounded, and yet they were uplifted. They felt such joy to be part of something so special when we get together in a yoga circle. And many of them say they have the ability to meditate for longer.
Wow.
So this tapping into the sensorial realm through our sense of smell is what is accelerating the process of our reason to do yoga in the first place, to unite our mind, body, and spirit, to gain freedom. And that is liberating our energy flow. And the chakras as the system to get there makes it very accessible for anybody who wants to explore their inner self through yoga classes. So just to start off by saying that that energy flow, our body is an energetic being. We think of ourselves as matter, but really our 98% of our cells are renewed within a year. So who are we really? Are we our skin and our cells, or are we this unnameable presence within us? That presence is some sort of an energetic vibration that is represented by the fact that our atoms are 99.9% just space, right? So this presence of that energetic flow in China is called qi, in India is called prana, in Hawaii is called mana. And the systems of chakras then has been around since thousands of years ago, that first surfaced in Hindu mythology. but it's represented as vortexes of energy within our body. There's 7 major ones going up and down our spine, within our body, connected to different endocrine glands and even ganglia, nerve ganglia. But ultimately, that liberating of the energy flow is when we can unite our physical chakras to our spiritual chakras, and using our heart as the connector and the bridge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds lovely and wonderful. And I think that a lot of people who get into yoga or meditation or any of these sort of more Eastern practices that are becoming more popular nowadays, sometimes they can approach it much more on just the physical aspect, of what yoga can do. But more and more people are becoming open to beyond that, right? And I think the chakra system is sort of a place that some people can start. So maybe for people who are unaware of chakras, I know you explained it a little bit, but paint us a little picture of that and then connect that with essential oils and how you use that in your classes to help people.
Mm-hmm. So when we think of these 7 major vortices of energy, chakra in Sanskrit means wheel. And so you can imagine it as just this spinning wheel of energy that allows us to take in energy, receive it, assimilate it, and absorb it, and then express it. It becomes a lot more understandable when we take it to real life. So we have the 7 as the root chakra, which is right at our coccyx, our sacral chakra, which is just below our navel, the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and the crown chakra. And if we think of them as manifestations of energy, then let's look back at times in our lives when we were really excited about something. Probably showed up as butterflies in our stomach, the nervous energy we feel, and that could be our solar plexus chakra really expressing itself. Another way we feel it is, let's say you have to have this really difficult conversation with someone that would mean that you would have to get pretty vulnerable. A lot of times you express it in a way, I felt this lump in my throat, like there was a golf ball.
Yeah.
So that is the throat chakra expressing itself, saying something is stuck here and we need to let it flow. And so we sort of, as humans, feel it, but we don't necessarily connect it to our chakras. And so this is why it's a map for our personal journey of awakening. How we use it with essential oils then becomes this matching of intention and of vibration. And we have a few different ways of finding the essential oils that we would use for a certain chakra. The root chakra, or Muladhara, as it is known in Sanskrit, is connected to our ability to survive in this world. And so it has the elements of safety, security, and stability. So imagine the element is earth. So imagine us connected to earth, the earth supporting us, and our roots going deep into the ground, feeling stable and secure, and therefore not having a sense of lack, embracing abundance. And you can tell then with certain aspects of behavior in this world, when we think about the poverty mindset or conversely the abundance mindset, we know that in order to get from poverty to abundance, we need to address our root chakra.
Okay.
And ultimately, it's a matter of trusting, surrendering, and accepting where we are in life.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it also is trauma from birth to about 3 to 5 years old, if we didn't receive the love that we should have at that time, we start to embody this feeling of fear and insecurity. And so essential oils help with that because it's a huge emotional release
Right.
accelerator, right?
Right.
And so let's say we're tackling the root chakra and we want to find some essential oils that help us to feel grounded. I would say you can choose it by saying the tree, for instance, of black spruce is big and tall and grows up to the sky and is so stable year after year of just being.
Mm-hmm.
The roots that go deep and the ability to help us feel grounded and stable. So I like to use black spruce in my yoga classes when we start with the root chakra. This is how we use the essential oils in class. I ask them to hold out their left palm, and I use the left palm because the left side of the body is the receiving side. So we're receiving the essential oil, which is really the vibration from nature that has been created through the sun and the soil and the wind and all of the elements that then we're receiving into our body. So I put a drop on each and every one of the participants in the class. I ask them to take their other palm, circle it around clockwise 3 times. And that is just generally because our proteins circle around clockwise, so do our genes, our DNA. And I then encourage them to hold it up to their nose. They can hold it as far away as they want or as close as they desire. And when they inhale it deeply 3 times, that is when they're activating when they inhale it, it goes up to the brain, to the limbic system. It activates the ability to get that sense of grounding because the essential oil we've chosen has those qualities. The other way to choose the essential oils is then either the color that corresponds to the chakra or how low to the ground it is, low being more dense in its frequency, and as we go up the chakras it becomes higher in their frequency levels.
Right.
So one reason to choose vetiver for the grounding sense is because it is a grass that grows close to the ground. And vetiver is really amazing for bringing us back to the present. It has a really dense, thick viscosity, and its scent lasts a long time. I like to put it on and I smell it for the next few hours, which some of the other essential oils have a more ethereal quality where it evaporates really quickly, right? So you can find a few different ways to choose the essential oils that correspond to the intention of the chakra that we're working on.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And as you said, you're having your students mostly smell the oil in. Do you ever have them rub it on their bodies or their feet or things like that as well?
Yes. So, the essential oil class will differ according to the theme of the class. And in the past, we've had themes such as harmony, resilience, cultivating tenacity, forgiveness. It could be any of those themes that really attract the ones that feel those are the things they need to work on in their lives. And as we go through the chakras, we can find different areas of our lives that correspond to that same theme or inner work that is required of us at that time. Now, most of the time, I would say after we inhale, we put it on the point of the chakra.
Okay.
And so for the root chakra, we start at the tailbone. And then that is really the only one that I say in the back body. And then most of the other ones, for instance, the sacral chakra, I would say just, below your navel. Your solar plexus, I would put it right here. The heart, definitely there. there are certain classes where I would ask them to put the oil in a very specific area for a very specific emotion. And that I would refer to different books where it shows us which point in our body, mostly meridian points, that correspond to which kind of emotion that we're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like such an educational experience as well to be in that class if you're not familiar with the chakras or the different meridian points, but you're really learning a lot about where these different emotionals live in your body. And the whole point of yoga really is to tune in and get to know yourself and your body and be able to listen. So that sounds like such a fun experience and educational. And I can see why people could leave these classes just blown away and never experiencing that combination of such an amazing sacred practice like yoga, and then linking that with that sensorial realm of essential oils. I think that's wonderful. Well, Leanne, we obviously don't have time to go into all the chakras and all the oils, but do you want to share with us maybe a few of your favorite chakra points to work on, and how essential oils are incorporated into your classes?
Mm-hmm. So very simply, we are, like I mentioned before, tapping into our heart center in order to liberate the energy flow, right? So our three lower chakras are very much in the physical realm. The root chakra being our sense of safety, stability, our sacral chakra being our sense of pleasure, creativity, and our solar plexus chakra bring our sense of activity, decision making, choices that we make. And if we then allow our heart to lead all of those, we are taking love and gratitude to be the primary purpose of what we do, why we do it,
Mhm.
and when we do it. But that heart chakra is also informed by our ability to bring down the divine wisdom within us and without, however that expresses itself to you, and then our ability to communicate that. So when we think about manifesting our path in this world that we're meant to, a meaningful life, using the chakras to do that then is just really powerful, because it gives meaning to the decisions we make. So one of the ways I like to very quickly go through the chakras is, first of all, ground. Allow yourself to release all your stuck emotions and any of your anger and regret, into the present. Allow the earth to receive that. And then you're going to be able to stay in that space of fun and pleasure and creativity, because we can't create unless we are unencumbered by emotions swirling within our head. So once we're able to create, we have ideas, we bring it up to a solar plexus, where now we can actually take the steps to implement those ideas. And when we have the courage to do that and not be held back by our fear, we are instantly manifesting what it is we want, and have been guided within to do so.
Mhm.
So that brings me to then the sacral chakra. I love using citrus oils for activating our pleasure zone, in terms of just, imagine bliss and joy and laughter in everything that we do. I mean, so life is not only about enjoyment and laughter and pleasure, of course, but if we can find the joy in everything regardless of what happens, and to know that and to accept that it is meant to be, life becomes a lot more pleasurable and meaningful.
Mhm. It's funny that you use the words, I think you use the words childish maybe at some point, but when I think of um, playfulness and youthfulness, I often think of the citrus oils, like you mentioned, grapefruit,
Mhm.
orange, lime, tangerine, lemon, like they're all just got this fresh, youthful quality to them, and they really do boost that joy so easily. I love that. Do you diffuse those in your classes as well, or do you have people apply that to their sacral area?
Hmm. I actually don't diffuse in my classes because I feel like they are getting a lot of essential oils. I do use one essential oil for each chakra, so they're exposed to at least 7 essential oils when they come to my class. And so I don't actually diffuse that at home. Of course, I diffuse all the time. And just having citrus essential oils in the room, it gives you this childlike curiosity of life. That is what we're trying to get to as a balanced sacral chakra.
Mm-hmm. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so moving on then, the essential oils that allow us to take those ideas into action. I like peppermint, but when I do use peppermint, I will definitely use a carrier oil to dilute that because peppermint can be pretty strong. The solar plexus chakra is so actually the sacral chakra is water, right? So just the ability to go with the flow. Now we're at the solar plexus chakra, which is fire, and peppermint then has that fiery sense. This is where we gather our energy and express it in our actions. So I like peppermint for that, and as a way of connecting to our organs, then the solar plexus is also where most of our digestive organs are, and peppermint helps with that as well. And another way to get us motivated to move forward is I like to use Roman chamomile. Roman chamomile has this scent where it allows you to just get that decision made like right then and there.
I never thought about Roman chamomile mixed with peppermint, or those scents kind of interflowing together in the same space. So sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I would use one or the other, or I would maybe make some blends to have as specific to the chakras before class. And there are many recipes out there that correspond to each chakra,
Mhm.
and so that could be a choice as well.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I love that. Well, sounds like such an amazing experience that you're helping lead people through, and of course they can learn to do this in their home practices as well. So thank you for sharing all this. I know we're running out of time. Do you have any last words that you want to share with the viewers watching who are really interested in this topic of the blending of essential oils and yoga?
Yes, like you said, there's just so much to share, and I definitely would love to be able to share more on my website at leanneanderson.com. A few last words is the ability for yoga to help us experience that freedom also it reminds us that breath is so important. And when we add essential oils to that, it reminds us to breathe, you know. So many of us go through life with shallow breathing and not really taking the time to observe our breath. And that's another way essential oils remind us to come back to the present, to be aware of our breath. And so I incorporate a lot of breath work into my classes as well. And I love when I can have sound healing in the Scentsible yoga, because it's an experience of all the different senses that bring us to an awareness of our body, our mind, and our spirit.
Oh, I love that. And I heard you say that before about yoga being almost a form of achieving freedom. So another last word, explain that just a little bit more for us, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay, so a lot of times when I ask people and invite them to do yoga with me, the first thing they say is, I'm not flexible. Um, I want to encourage every viewer here to think of yoga not as a exercise in flexibility, but really an exercise in accessing our breath even when we're in the hardest of positions, as a metaphor for life. Even when we are tossed with all sorts of difficult situations, we're still able to breathe with freedom. And that is very simply, sometimes when we're twisted, for instance, and if we are all hunched over, that is not freedom. But that has nothing to do with our flexibility. It has everything to do with just being aware of our spine and just sitting straight, and now we can breathe with freedom, and if that means not going as far forward and just going to the space where you can sit up straight, that is yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much again, Leanne. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for the work you do and for sharing it with us here.
I'm so honored. Thank you.
All